Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Christian feast of Corpus Christi was celebrated today, the Thursday after Trinity Sunday, solemnly to commemorate the institution of the Holy Eucharist. The tradition of the celebration dates back to the 13th century. After Holy Mass, Catholics process the Eucharist through the streets of their cities while praying and singing.
While blessing his church, he will answer, and behold, I am with you always, until the end of the age. We hear these words from the cathedral at the Piłsudski Square in Warsaw every year. We know that these words are true thanks to the Eucharist. Jesus Christ is with us. He is with us. We believe in that, and we want to confess our faith.
A summit meeting of the European Union was held today in Brussels with the participation of the Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki. The summit touched on the subject of who is going to take the most important positions in the EU's institutions. Following the recent election, there will be a new Parliament and a new European Commission.
As President of the Parliament, I defend the Spitzenkandidat process. For us, it's important. We voted many times, also during last meeting 2 days ago with Donald Tusk, the conference of the president of the groups, the political groups. The majority underlined the importance of the Spitzenkandidat principle.
Conducting many different discussions about who's going to take the most important positions in the EU's parliament. We probably won't decide today, but that's fine. The most important thing is that we hear many interesting ideas.
Austauschen. Und so kann es sein, dass es heute noch.
But the sense I have is that we won't be in a position to elect a new Commission President or a new Council President today. The likelihood is that we'll have to have another summit at the end of June or early July, and that's not all that unusual in the European political process. Sometimes it takes a few rounds. It's quicker to elect a Pope very often than it is to fill these particular positions.
Donald Trump has begun his second presidential election campaign with a large bang. In just one day, following the announcement at a rally in Orlando, Florida, of his standing for re-election, nearly $25 million has been donated to his campaign to run in the next year's US presidential election.
Ronna McDaniel, chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, announced the great success just one day after the official announcement of the upcoming presidential campaign of Donald Trump. The party's bank account grew by exactly $24,800,000. Such a result shows a significant financial advantage of the incumbent president over the Democratic Party. The motto of Donald Trump's current campaign is Keep America Great. The United States presidential election will take place on November 3, 2020.
Dominic Tarczynski, recently elected a member of the European Parliament and chairman of the Transatlantic Trade Commission, has invited US Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to visit the former concentration camps in his home country in order to educate the rookie legislator. The invitation came in response to the 28-year-old member of Congress recently having suggested that the Trump administration was running concentration camps near the United States southern border.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps. If that doesn't bother you, we can have, okay, whatever. I want to talk to the people that are concerned enough with humanity to say that we should not, that never again means something, and that the fact that concentration camps are now an institutionalized practice in the home of the free is extraordinarily disturbing.
Mr. Tarczynski, thank you for joining us. It seems that politicians these days are very quick to bandy about terms like concentration camp. When you heard this remark by the newly elected Congresswoman Alexandra Cortez, what was your reaction?
It's just unacceptable. It's just unacceptable to compare the people who lost their lives in the concentration camps to those who are illegal migration. illegal migrants. It's just unacceptable. We cannot accept that. We have to react, and my letter and my invitation for Congresswoman to come to Poland is the answer for her reaction. It's just unacceptable to use this kind of terms for the political reasons. It's just outrageous. That's why I invited her. I want her to see the real concentration camps where people lost their lives, and I want her to come to Poland and see the history which she doesn't know.
Thank you. And do you expect her to accept your invitation?
I really do. I really do. I'm ready to pay for her travel. I'm ready to pay for her hotel. I'm ready to pay for her education. I don't want anyone in the world to spread this kind of words. I don't want anyone to compare illegal migration to those who lost their lives in Poland, in any other place, in concentration camps, which were created by Germany. It's just outrageous. We can't be silent.
That's the news. Thank you for joining us. Do stay with us for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
Good evening, I'm Paulina Adlerstein and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see what will happen tonight in our country. Very low temperatures in Olsztyn, only 8 degrees, 9 degrees in Białystok and up to 15 degrees in Rzeszów, Katowice and Krakow. 11 degrees in the northern parts will be seen tonight, and central Poland will see 13. Most of the country should remain dry tonight. And now let's see the forecast for tomorrow. So tomorrow, 30 degrees in our capital, but showers will be appearing there at 25 degrees, which will be one of the cooler places in Rzeszów with rain as well. 22 degrees in Gdańsk and 23 in Koszalin. Very nice and sunny in Szczecin and Zielona Góra. And here we can see like Rzeszów, Krakow, Katowice, also Białystok and central Poland are expected to be a bit rainy tomorrow. This is all for now. Thank you and join us later.
You're watching Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight we'll talk obviously about President Andrzej Duda's visit in the White House and in the United States, that there is many dimensions to this visit, and military dimension is observed very closely by Chris Zawitkowski of Polonia Institute, who is our guest. Sir, welcome to the show.
Good morning. I welcome everybody, all your viewers. Thank you.
It's great to have you. Let us start with this military dimension of Polish-American cooperation. Is it very much one-sided? Poland is the smallest client who is receiving the security from the America, or this is exaggeration?
No, definitely not. I would say this way. I think it's almost 25 years, maybe even a little more than since the Cato Institution and Heritage Foundation were promoting the idea that U.S. foreign policy regarding national security issues in Europe should be based on 3 pillars of the system, and they said this policy has to be based on support both ways to and from United Kingdom, Poland, and Israel. And this is what the Cato Institution, as I said, and Heritage Foundation were promoting for years. Then in 2014, when Russia invaded Crimea, we were approached by the White House, then under President Obama, who was disencouraged by Russian Federation policies and and acknowledgements and assurances given by President Putin and Medvedev. He called Putin even a thug, which was very accurate. This was published in the Atlantic magazine. And he approached us, if we Polish Americans could use as a leverage our good relationship with the Polish government. At the time, there was nothing serious undertaken by Polish government. There was only vague mentioning of the problem by President Komorowski, who in September said that, well, we have to talk to our partners in the alliance, in NATO alliance, and discuss with them the issues, because this looks very bad in light of the Welsh conference. And we responded to the White House that Polish Americans can issue an appeal to the President Obama, and Polish American Congress on annual meeting in Chicago issued a very strong statement, an appeal to President Obama to establish good bilateral relationship between Poland and the United States and Poland, as a matter of fact. And this should include the presence of the American armed forces on Polish territory. And since then, American troops started arriving to Poland for military training. And we saw the American Airborne Division, we saw some other units coming to train together with Polish military since then. So this was initiative from the American side, and nothing really serious was said by any response practically from Polish side at the time, until the situation changed due to the elections in 2015, when Macierewicz became the Minister of National Defense. He, as a very well known among the American politicians, he visited the United States many times, and he was advocating for American presence. Polish Americans also contributed quite a bit during the time of the Warsaw NATO summit. We organized the rallies in front of the White House and some other places to sustain American approach towards Poland and establishment of military presence in Poland. And this was continued. And I personally, I'm assured by contacting U.S. commanders and military people and politicians as well, that America wants Poland to be strong. I could quote what General Breedlove, former commander of U.S. forces in Europe and former commander of NATO forces in Europe. He said during Warsaw NATO summit on the conference for military people, he said Polish armed forces are not suitable opponent for Russia, but can be a barrier to die. And this is very important. We have to remember that the United States military men, they swear to defend the country and defend the Constitution for any price. So Americans know that in order to secure American interests in Europe, which are very, very big, one should remember that U.S. invested a lot of money in Europe. But I want to concentrate on military issues. They know very well that if Poland defends it defends itself, then it would defend the rest of Europe too. And this would be the end of Putin's dream to create big community, I'm quoting him, from Vladivostok to Gibraltar.
You mentioned very interesting and crucial issues, because when we speak about military development, military investment, the first things that come to mind is money, great interest, zones of influence, and so on. But it all boils down to the issue of boys taken from Kentucky, Alabama, Louisiana, I don't know, Arizona, from lower end of American society, who serve their country in the military, who will eventually come to Poland, and their life will be put in line of world peace. So what is the real argument to convince the parents and the boys and girls themselves to serve in Poland?
Americans are very practical men, and they know that their well-being and their good life depends very much on how the American interest is defended in the world. They know, they look at the map, and they know that in case of any trouble in the Far East may result in Russians moving into the West. They know it, and they know also that many American companies, you mentioned Kentucky and you mentioned Oklahoma, remember, Sudenga is the company that produces agriculture equipment. And they are present in Poland. They are trying to sell in Poland. They also know that if they are not present in an international market, then they won't be present on their own too. So it's no longer splendid isolation that is determining the international policy, but also understanding that there is a need for something. And you know, it's really funny. I recently traveled through the United States, and I've been to Kentucky, and I've been to Texas and Missouri, and I visited Memphis, and I tell you that actually a lot of people were showing sympathy towards Poland. They were saying, "Oh, that's great," you know, Kościuszko town in the middle of the United States is celebrating and emphasizing the fact that their name comes from the Polish-American hero. So yes, there is a sympathy, and especially in light of trouble with the Latinos invading in masses United States, they say one Oklahoma man told me, we were stupid when we were having problems with Poles immigrating to the United States after the war, and now we have much bigger problem with Latinos coming here.
So that's another dimension on this Polish-American festival that is going on these days. Mr. Chris Zawidkowski of Polonia Institute. Sir, thank you very much for this, unfortunately, too brief conversation.
Hello, welcome again to Poland Daily Weather. I'm Paulina Adlerstein. Tomorrow in Poland, we are expecting quite high temperatures in central Poland, 30 degrees, in Warsaw 27, in Łódź 29 will be seen in Krakow, and the minimum temperature tomorrow will be 22 degrees in Gdańsk, and 23 degrees will be seen in Koszalin. Quite a bit of showers will be appearing tomorrow, but some places like Szczecin, Zielona Góra, and also central Poland will see some sun tomorrow. Now let's check the forecast in Europe for tomorrow. So let's look at Europe. 31 degrees in Madrid, 32 in the Athens, which will be the warmest place, 29 in Bucharest, and a bit cooler, of course, in Dublin with 15 degrees. Also nice and warm in the northern parts of Europe, 23 degrees in Stockholm, 22 in Helsinki, and 24 degrees in Lisbon with a lot of sun. This is all for now. Thank you and see you soon. and welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm Paulina Odrstein, and today I'll take you on a journey through the Royal Palace in Wrocław. The Royal Palace is a palace in Wrocław, Poland, built in the 17th century. Originally a palace of the Prussian monarchy, it now houses the City Museum. In the middle of the 19th century, drawing on a Florentine Renaissance style, architect Friedrich August Stüler added a new southern wing 1844 to 1846 and a new courtyard wings along with a gate and railing in 1858. In 1918, the palace was donated to the city of Breslau. On 20th of September 1926, the Palace Museum, Schloss Museum, was opened, displaying an exposition devoted to Friedrich the Great, reconstruction of original interiors, and a collection of Silesian art.
Now we know a little bit about, where that name, or we can at least hazard a guess as to where the name came from. Do we know much about the actual founders of the city, the kind of founding fathers, as
this is also a complicated and mysterious problem. The first founders of this settlement on the Cathedral Island, they were probably members of a tribe, of a Slavonic tribe, Polish tribe called Ślężanie. They founded a settlement, not a city even, the farm settlement on the island, on the Odra River. That was even before the Polish state, founded by Mieszko I, was established. Yes.
I see. So over the years, this kind of more than 1,000-year period, it's a very unsettled period where, there was a sort of foreign rule, establishment of independence, etc. Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, this is the most typical in Wrocław history, that nothing was stable, nothing was once forever. For the first 350 years of history, since the year 990, Wrocław belonged to the state of Piast, the first Polish dynasty. The first ruler, the historical ruler from Poland, Mieszko I, somehow conquered Silesia in about the year 990. And for the first 350 years of its history, it belonged to Poland, to the Piast dynasty. And in the first half of the 14th century, the last Piast from Wrocław, the Piast, the Duke Henry V died, and Silesia, together with Wrocław, this part of Silesia became a part of the Czech kingdom. Poland was rather weak at the time and separated into many almost independent states, and Wrocław and Silesia became a part of Czech kingdom, but not for a very long time, very long period. 200 years, about 200 years later, the Czech king died as a young man in a battle of Mohács. The whole Czech kingdom, together with Silesia, became a part of the Habsburg state. So the next state, the Austrian state, Silesia and Wrocław. And 200 years later, in the middle of the 18th century, that was so-called Silesian Wars between Austria and Prussia, a part of Germany. And Prussian king Frederick II won the wars, 3 wars, and conquered Silesia and Wrocław. And from the middle of the 18th century, the Prussian first and German ruling of Wrocław started. And it lasted also for about 200 years.
It really seems to be this kind of cycle of 200 years going on.
The kind of cycle, this German ruling of Wrocław, then called Breslau, this is the German name of our city, it ended together with the end of the Second War, when after 600 years, Wrocław returned to Poland.
I see. So we're approaching the kind of halfway point of our 200-year cycle now.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope the cycle will be much, much longer. I hope for me and for Wrocław, of course.
Of course,
yes.
of course. Well,
yes.
As we're sort of thinking about these kind of cycles and eras, etc., what would, in your opinion, what was the kind of, shall we say, golden era for Wrocław?
I think that was the 15th century, so the late medieval time, and Wrocław was on the cross of two trade roads. One, a royal route from Paris to Kiev, from the west to the east, and the second road from the south to the north, from Italy to the Baltic Sea and Scandinavia, the famous Amber route. And this is exactly on the cross of these two routes Wrocław is founded, and so that was the golden age of trading and golden age for merchants. And that's why this is also the golden age for Wrocław.
So much of what was established then was perhaps the foundation for what we kind of have today.
Yes, yes. And one more thing which could be interesting, that Wrocław is a mixture, cultural mixture of Polish influences, Czech influences, Austrian, German, but also Jews and French influences, because in the 19th century, during the Napoleonic Wars, Wrocław was for 1 year, Wrocław was under French occupation and of Napoleon Bonaparte army. And we have also some influences, some shape of square or shape of boulevard on the Odra River are also made on a pattern of
sort of French design,
Yes, French design. So many influences of so many different cultures, nations and religions. That's why, in my opinion, Wrocław is so interesting city.
Indeed. I tell you what, let's go and explore some more of it.
Yes. Yeah.
The rich history of this place owes much to its geographical location. Located in the borderlands, the gateway from the Carpathian Mountains to the lowland plains, on the navigable Sand River, which of course created great trade opportunities. And that is why this town, Przemyśl, grew up. I'm standing here in the market square in Przemyśl at the beginning of our journey, a journey through history which takes us from the end of the Roman Empire to the end of the Second World War, a rich history of people, of buildings, of institutions. Join me on Poland Daily History as we see Przemyśl above ground and below ground. how big was the city in terms of population by the end of the 19th century?
Well, it was around 50,000, and Przemyśl was a multinational town because you would have Poles, obviously, you would have a Jewish community which would constitute 1/3 of entire population. Actually, it probably was the oldest Jewish community in entire Poland here in Przemyśl.
Okay.
Then you would have obviously Ukrainians.
Right.
And along with the influx of soldiers from all the Austro-Hungarian Empire, you would have Hungarians, you would have Italians, Czechs, and obviously Austrians and Germans as well.
So pretty mixed, actually.
Absolutely,
very,
yes.
very mixed population. And what did that do for the culture of the city? I mean, did it lead to opera houses or concert halls, that sort of? I mean, when I always associate sort of the Habsburgs with sort of that sort of musical culture.
Well, actually, more concert halls than opera houses.
Okay.
There were several associations connected with sport, for example, like Sokół. There were various associations, national associations.
Okay.
Ukrainians had their own. They erected so-called National House, Narodny Dom, in the market square in the early 20th century, where they had, for example, audience, and they would have a stage to perform various spectacles, as well as Poles had this Sokół organization, which mainly promoted physical fitness and physical culture, but also had sort of cultural scope of cultural development of the people. You must remember that here in Galicia, although we weren't independent then, the government wasn't so strict as in other, like Prussian or Russian.
Okay, so there's a bit more freedom of expression.
Absolutely so.
And in the late 19th century, of course, in many parts of Europe, there was a beginning of some sort of, not exactly revolutionary, but those sort of more radical thoughts. I mean, was there any evidence in this city that there were any?
A little bit, although that was mostly Lvov as a bigger and as a bigger city and a capital of the entire province. But yes, especially there were, I would say, tensions between Ukrainians and Poles in terms of having their own independent states.
Right.
Which unfortunately...
Because both at that stage were part of somebody else's.
Yes, well,
empire,
there was no Poland and there was no Ukraine, and both nations claimed several cities, including Przemyśl, as their own.
Right. So both were fighting against a different foreign power. And of course, this became, in a funny sort of way, a melting pot, because you sort of both tensions meet in one point.
Absolutely. So in 1918, when the Habsburg Empire that would sort of hold it all together collapsed, so those tensions, I would say, erupted, so that immediately after the end of First World War, there were fights between Poles and Ukrainians over Przemyśl.
And which, of course, the Poles ultimately won.
Yes, yes, in Przemyśl, both in Przemyśl and in Lvov. So in Lvov there are iglets, but we have our own iglets of Przemyśl as well.
That's right, yes, a fantastic story.
There's a monument here in Przemyśl erected in the 30s that was then destroyed by the communists and erected again after 1989.
Right, okay, so we're just entering this marvellous, after you, entering this marvellous saloon, which is now a restaurant, but...
There used to be a restaurant here as well, and this was the place where Franz Josef would be received whenever he visited Przemyśl.
In this particular room?
Yes.
And this is why it's so magnificently decorated.
It's more like a palace than a railway station, right?
This is they don't build railway stations like this anymore, unfortunately.
No, they're mostly functional, but if we look around, you would see various signs like the sigil of Przemyśl,
That's the city coat of arms, yes?
Yes, or some paintings showing Przemyśl, like this one
yes.
here
That's
shows...
the castle, isn't it, where we were
Yes,
yesterday?
this is the castle. This is the castle.
And some overall views of...
Overall view from one of the hills surrounding Przemyśl. And behind us there's another view of the right bank of Przemyśl.
Right.
So this is the view from the Zasania part.
Yes. Interesting. And the mermaid is whose coat of arms? I mean, obviously it looks like the Warsaw coat of arms, but is that a more recent?
I think so, but whenever I try to find something more about the decoration, the paintings that are decorating this railway station, I can't find anything more.
I might have expected there would be some specifically Austrian or Habsburg motifs somewhere in the decoration, but maybe
there were, but you must remember that after the end of Austrian Empire, most of them were simply destroyed.
Right, okay.
So all those signs of Austrian rule were destroyed as a signs of occupation, basically.
Okay. So I imagine this has probably been restored several times since it was built.
I know that one restoration took place several years ago.
Okay, which is why it looks so fresh, of course.
Absolutely.
But the basic structure is, it's probably worth noting that this isn't the original railway station. This is from 1895.
Yes, because like I said before, there was a railway connection here in Przemyśl since 1860s.
Okay.
So it was the second half of 19th century when the town developed rapidly.
Right.
So, like I said, the number of people rose until up to...
Because I think before the first partition of Poland, Galicia had not been a particularly developed part of Europe. So the Austrians coming probably helped to stimulate economic development.
Yes, but only in the second half of 19th century.
So really picked up some momentum. Yes, it's lovely, lovely, lovely. And of course, yes, you can see if you were the emperor, you'd want to arrive in a railway station that looked a bit like this, and not arrive in the old railway station, whatever that looked like. But this is just magnificent. In a time when engineering achieved these great buildings, and everywhere you go over Europe, in the right places. In England, the monarchy had their own railway station at Sandringham, which probably still exists. And so the idea you build a railway station for a king or queen or something to arrive is actually rather touching. And here we have it. So that is fantastic. So thank you for showing us this marvellous railway station.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another edition of Poland Daily Travel. My name's Will Richardson, and this time we'll be taking you on a series of episodes exploring the Warsaw Zoo. It's a peaceful reserve located on the eastern bank of the Vistula River in Warsaw. So come along with us and let's visit the Warsaw Zoo. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel, where all I can say is Katanka, Katanka.
Okay.
Katanka.
And Arthur.
You didn't, what? You never saw that one?
Well, now I see, and that's a good one.
No, you never saw that. What am I doing with Katanka? What movie is that from?
Okay, that's this movie. That's this one.
Man Who Sings the Blues with tigers. No, with, what's the name of the movie?
Poland Daily Travel.
Dancing with the Wolves.
Okay.
Katanka, you don't remember that? What's the matter with you? What, are you asleep?
Well,
I know it's a beautiful day, but wake up.
No, this is one of
and
these
smell
movies.
the gravy.
Oh, come on, this is
smell
one
the
of
buffalo.
This is one of these movies when 10 minutes is just fine, and then
Really?
it's okay.
10 minutes was enough for you?
Yes.
In this Academy Award-winning blockbuster?
Yes, yes.
Only 10 minutes for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah? Don't look at the camera, look at me.
Yes, I do.
Talk to me.
Yes, I will.
No, talk to me. Tell me
Okay.
something I don't know. Tell me something about a buffalo. Why is the buffalo the important symbol in Poland?
Because they live in northeastern Poland, and in our language, żubr. Every Polish man knows this word żubr because we like to make comparisons of ourselves, like maybe Celts were comparing themselves to the bears, and Polish people like to compare ourselves to a żubr, to a buffalo, to a bison, and that's why we do have bison grass vodka, for instance, and with the bison grass inside. And we like to mix it with apple juice, which makes it a traditional Polish apple
What
pie.
are you talking about?
A Poland Daily Travel. We are in the zoo.
Yeah, but what was that all about? It was a long explanation, rambling explanation, and it ended up in vodka. We were talking about...
It's Friday.
No, but we were talking about an important Polish symbol, the żubra, and you ended with another important Friday symbol of Poland, which is...
Vodka, and also we have, and also we have a beer called żubr.
The żubra beer, that's right. Where is that from?
So
it's
this
Białystok, isn't it?
Yes, northeastern Poland.
East,
we have over their original forests, and they live over there, and they reproduce over there. Yes, we can see them.
Yeah, there they are. They're under the. It's hot today, so I'm not complaining because I like the hot weather. But it's hot, and this is why. We can't see any tigers or lions because they're all inside.
They hid.
They hid. But I thought that cats like to lie in the.
You know,
in the warm sun.
They are just chilling in the shade. But
I think they're spoiled.
But bisons are in here. We can see them, right? Yeah. Look, they are walking around, and there's the main alley. It was modernized last year, so we have the very nice circumstances. We have very nice benches. When I was coming
all of
in
this
here,
is new, yeah.
Yes, when I was coming in here as a kid with my mom, it was like so much walking and not many benches. And today,
look at all this. Yeah.
And tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, they are going to have the Children's Day, the Kids' Day.
Oh, Kids' Day is coming up.
Yeah.
Soon.
Mm-hmm. So
that's the 1st of June. Right?
That's the 1st of June.
Right.
So it will be packed. I mean, it will be
crazy.
Yes. Remember our guide Olga?
I remember Olga, of course.
And this
only
is
today.
Yeah, that's what she told us. That the worst weekend in their history is coming because it's tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So Saturday and Sunday it will be like 1,001 million and 1 trillion million of people in here.
How much does it cost to come in here?
So
we didn't have to pay.
Yeah, so
but if we did pay, how much is it?
Entrances are in between 10 and 20 zloty, depending if you are a child or an adult.
Well, that's not much. It's like $5.
That's not much, but not less either. You are in here. Yeah. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people just passed.
Oh yeah, there's a family
and then
of
another
6.
7 over there. So you know, and today there are not many people.
So they're paying $25 to get in. Mom and dad, but maybe there's a family ticket. Is there a family ticket?
Oh, there are some family tickets, but still the price per person will be around 10 or 15 zloty.
10 or 15 zloty?
Yes.
Yeah. That's not horrible.
Oh, that's not horrible, but then everyone wants to have some something to drink. So first you buy water for 5 zloty, and then you buy yourself a sausage. I just paid for a sausage and a still water, 26 zloty.
Oh, so by the time you do everything, the food and everything,
it's $50.
And then you
with
have
a family.
And then you have ice cream. So you see, I am complaining. I represent this typical Polish style. So I am happy when I am unhappy.
Stop complaining. We're not even married and you're complaining.
Everything's cool.
It's ridiculous.
But we sit on the same bench. It's enough.
Listen, it's very comfortable. And I haven't been here in a while, and I can see a lot of improvements. But one thing I don't like is what they've done with the cat cages, because they used to have them in a row, and you could see all the different kind of cats, and now they've made a big display, and you can't see anything because they're all inside. But it used to be shady enough so you could see them, and each separate kind, you know? Or they had leopards and panthers and jaguars and everything.
Or maybe they knew that you're coming.
What, you think, so they're afraid?
Yes, I think
they're
so.
Afraid of me? Or are they just teasing me?
Well, maybe they heard the rumors from the gorillas cages, how you behaved over there.
You think they heard a rumor from the gorillas? But it was, oh, you mean when I scared you? I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't scare me.
I didn't apologize for that. I beg your pardon.
No reason to apologize. I just knew it's coming, and I acted like this, okay?
Okay, we're going to continue to argue, but you've probably heard enough of this argument. But Kitanka. We'll be back with more of Poland Daily Travel. Following that last extremely exciting conversation about the European bison, I have one question for Arthur. What's the difference between the American and the European bison?
You know,
Did you know I was going to ask that?
Yeah, I took a closer look.
Yeah, okay.
So, guys, yours are bigger.
That's correct. We have the bigger bison.
But I saw another difference.
What is that?
Yours are more hairy.
They're hairier. So they're bigger and hairier.
Yes.
Our bison.
Yes, and ours are smoother and a little bit lighter. Yours are a little bit darker.
A little bit darker, yeah. Okay, so that's the difference, but they're related, I suppose, somehow.
Well, surely.
Yeah.
So are we.
Hey, what did I tell you? Don't call me Shirley.
Okay. But Madame or Mademoiselle?
Say
Shirley.
Certainly, not Shirley.
Okay.
Yeah. We can see them. They're gathered behind us. The zebra, which we saw before, the symbol of Poland in some sense. It's the animal. It's like the sacred animal.
But people like bisons all over the world. People like bisons. Why
we call them buffalo. Those are buffalo.
And you call them buffalo.
Yeah, that's a buffalo.
And you know, and there is this buffalo soldier.
Don't sing. That's a copyright. We're gonna have to pay. We're gonna have to pay for that if you sing that.
No. Do you call it singing?
You gotta sing it like this. Buffalo soldier, and then it's different. Buffalo soldier.
So I sang officially. My first time on TV, I was singing.
No, you didn't do that. Can you take it back, please?
I can sing another one.
What?
Sha-la-la-la.
No, don't sing. We're certainly not paying for that song. Okay, folks. Poland Daily Travel. We're here with the bison. Say goodbye, Arthur.
Say goodbye, Arthur.
No, goodbye, Arthur, you're supposed to say.
Goodbye, Arthur, you're supposed to say.
Yes, exactly. Well done. He's learning. Here we are with the bison on a beautiful Friday afternoon. Poland Daily Travel in the Warsaw Zoo. We shall continue to see what we can see. Stay with us.